In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to replace the Human Touch Sauna upper backrest assembly. The first thing we're going to do is use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 4 screws that secure the backrest cover. Once the screws are removed, you can kind of pry it off and remove it from the chair. Next, we'll use the remote control to raise the calf massager up as high as it will go. Next, we're going to power off the chair, then unplug it. Next, we're going to use a 4mm Allen wrench to remove this bolt, which you can see is already partially removed. We've already started this process. And then, depending on the serial number of your chair, there'll be another bolt up in the hole in the frame right up here. So check up there if the side panel isn't easily coming off after removing this bolt. So either 1 or 2 bolts here on each side. If you want better visual access here, you may also choose to lift the calf massager up further and prop it up on a box or something. Once we've removed the bolts from the front on both sides, we're going to move up to the upper rear brackets, which are hidden in a little pocket. So we need to find that pocket right underneath the shoulder airbags, unzip the pocket, and use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove those 2 screws. And each of those screws has a washer as well, so be sure not to drop the washer or screw down into the chair. Next, we need to remove the 2 lower rear screws that secure the side panel on each side. Depending on the serial number of your chair, these screws may or may not have washers. The next step is to remove the side panels. However, we're not going to disconnect the air hoses. We simply need to detach them and set them alongside of the chair to enable us to remove this upper backrest. So just set the side panels like so on each side. Next, we need to prepare to remove this upper backrest assembly. And to do so, we need to disconnect the speaker cables and air hose on each side. And we do that right over on the side here. There's a speaker cable, and then there's an air hose connector right next to the speaker cable. That's where we're going to disconnect the hose. Okay, that hose is a bit difficult to get off of that fitting, but it does come off. Once we get that free, we can do the same thing on the other side. That one came off easier. So once both speaker cables and both hoses are disconnected, we can unzip the zipper at the top of the backrest, and we're ready to lift the upper backrest assembly off the chair. Now we're ready to install the new upper backrest assembly. There are two different versions of this part depending on the serial number of your chair, but it doesn't matter which version you have as they both install the same. The first version has 4 brackets, 2 on each side that look like this, and they go onto 2 posts that look like this. So the idea is that you slide the upper backrest assembly onto the 4 posts. However, it's nearly impossible to do that all at the same time. So what we do is hold the backrest assembly in alignment as much as possible, but slide one side very slightly on ahead of the other one, just so that you can kind of gauge and make sure both sides are on, and then finish sliding the other side on. But it will take some adjustment in order to get this on right. It is a tricky part. The second version has different shaped brackets, which makes this process much easier. Like so. Next, we can close the zipper that attaches the backrest pad to the upper backrest assembly. Okay, now we're ready to reinstall the side panels. You can't see these when you're installing them, but just so you know, just like the upper backrest assembly, we have this bracket and a post again. But since you can't really visually see that, what we're going to do instead is position the side panel, aligning it visually a couple inches. So there's just a couple inches here, and aligning this bracket with the pocket that it goes into. And then pushing the side panel against the side of the chair, sliding it backward. And by doing so, then you'll ensure that the bracket slides over the post. And then to make sure it is, you just kind of pull a little bit outward, and then you'll know that's secure. And we can go ahead and secure it by replacing the 2 Phillips head screws. Be sure those screws each have a washer before installing them. As you can see, if the screw holes aren't quite aligned, you might need to jostle the side panel very slightly to get the screw holes in better alignment, or perhaps push in on it. There we go. Okay, you can close the zipper on that little pocket, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. One thing I should have mentioned earlier, when installing the left-hand side panel, make sure this USB charger is up here where the customer can reach it. Next, we're ready to install the 4mm Allen screw or screws, depending on your chair, to secure the front of the side panel. Now we're ready to replace the two lower rear side panel screws. Depending on the serial number of your chair, these screws may or may not have had washers. Now we're ready to reconnect the speaker connectors and the air hoses, one on each side. Make sure that hose is installed all the way onto the fitting. Now we're ready to install the backrest cover. Note these tabs at the bottom of the backrest cover and the corresponding slots. Make sure that tabs go into those slots and then lift the top of the backrest cover into position. And replace the 4 screws. And finally, we can plug in the chair, power it on, and confirm that the massage mech is working properly.